The night was cold. Too cold for September. James Harrington stood outside Kensington Palace, his breath forming clouds in the air. He had been a royal protection officer for 12 years. He had seen everything. Or so he thought. Tonight was different. His radio crackled. Movement on the east side? Stay sharp. James pressed his earpiece. Copy that. It protected princes, dignitaries, and world leaders. But nothing had ever felt like this. Nothing had ever made his stomach twist the way it did. When he watched Prince William walk through those palace doors each morning, because James knew something the world didn't. William wasn't just being protective. He was being hunted. It started 3 months ago. A letter arrived at the palace. No return address. Just 5 words written in black ink. She won't be safe forever. Security swept it. Nothing. No prints. No DNA. No trace. Then came the second letter. You think walls can stop us? William read it alone in his office. His face went pale. He folded the letter carefully and locked it in his desk. He didn't tell Kate. He didn't tell anyone except the head of security. That's when James was assigned full detail. 24 hours. No breaks. If you're watching this, hit that subscribe button now. This story gets darker, and you won't want to miss what happens next. James had seen William scared before. Once, during a trip to the Middle East, gunfire broke out near their convoy. William stayed calm, focused, almost mechanical, but this was different. This fear was personal. William started changing his routine. He walked Kate to the car himself every morning. He checked the locks twice. He never let her go anywhere alone. The press noticed. They called it devotion. They called it love. James called it desperation. One evening, James was stationed near the private gardens. The sun was setting. Golden light spilled across the grass. Kate was playing with the children, laughing, spinning, Charlotte in circles, while George kicked a football. William stood at the window watching. His hands were clenched, his jaw tight. James saw it clearly. The prince wasn't admiring his family. He was guarding them. Later that night, William called James into his study. The room smelled of old books and leather. A fire crackled in the hearth. I need to ask you something, William said quietly. James stood at attention. Of course, sir. William turned to face him. His eyes were tired, heavy. Something happens to me. If I'm not there, will you protect her? James felt his chest tighten. Sir, nothing is going to happen to you. That's not what I asked. The room went silent except for the fire. Outside, the wind rattled the windows. Yes, James said finally. I will. William nodded slowly. He handed James a small envelope. If anything goes wrong, open this. Not before. James took it. The envelope was sealed with red wax. Heavy, important. What's inside? James asked. William looked toward the window. Toward the garden where his family had been playing just hours before. The truth, he said. And James knew in that moment that whatever was coming, it was already too late to stop it. Asterisk, the envelope burned in James's pocket for 3 days. He felt it every time he moved. Every time he stood guard. Every time he saw William look at Kate with that same haunted expression. He didn't open it. He had given his word, but the threats didn't stop. The third letter arrived on a Tuesday morning. This one was delivered differently. It was left on William's car, right on the windshield. In the private garage, inside the palace grounds, that meant someone had gotten past. Security, someone had walked right up to the prince's vehicle and left a message. The letter was simple. No envelope this time. Just a folded piece of paper with a single sentence. Walls mean nothing. The head of security went silent when he read it. He called an emergency meeting. Protocols changed overnight. New guards. New routes. Knew everything. But William knew the truth. They all did. Whoever this was, they were already inside. James started watching everyone. The gardeners. The staff. The delivery drivers. Anyone who came near the family? His training kicked in. Trust no one. Assume everyone is a threat. Kate noticed the change. She asked William about it one morning over breakfast. James was standing near the doorway. He heard everything. "Why are there so many guards now?" she asked softly. William didn't look up from his tea. "Just a precaution." "For what?" "Kate, please." She reached across the table and touched his hand. "Talk to me." William finally looked at her. His face was stone. "I'm handling it." But he wasn't. James could see it. The prince was drowning. That night, James found William alone in the library. The room was dark, except for a single lamp. William was staring at a photo on the desk. It was Kate, smiling, holding Charlotte as a baby, sir, James said quietly. William didn't turn around. "Do you have a family, James?" "No, sir." "Then you can't understand." James stepped closer. "Understand what?" William set the photo down carefully. "What it's like to love someone so much that you'd do anything to keep them safe, even if it destroys you." The words hung in the air like smoke. "What's going on?" James asked. "What are you not telling me?" William stood slowly. He walked to the window. Outside, the palace grounds were lit by floodlights. Guards patrolled the perimeter. Everything looked secure, but it wasn't. 6 years ago, William began, I was at a charity event in London. A man approached me. He looked ordinary, suit and tie, clean cut. He shook my hand and said something I'll never forget. James waited, said, "Your mother wasn't an accident, and neither will you be." The room went cold. "I thought he was a conspiracy theorist," William continued. "Some lunatic. Security removed him. I never saw him again. But then, 2 years ago, I received an email from an anonymous account. It had photos. Photos of what? Kate, the children, our home, places we'd been, private moments." James felt his pulse quicken. "Did you trace it?" "We tried. It led nowhere. The account was wiped, but the message was clear. They were watching. Why didn't you tell anyone?" William turned to face him. His eyes were red, exhausted. "Guess I thought I could handle it. I thought if I stayed quiet, if I cooperated, they'd leave my family alone." "Cooperated how?" William hesitated. His hand trembled slightly as he reached into his jacket. He pulled out a folded document. Old. Worn. 3 months ago, they made contact again. They wanted something. A signature. Access to a private fund. Something my grandmother controlled before she passed. James stared at him. "You gave it to them?" "I had no choice. There's always a choice." "Not when they send you a photo of your daughter's school," William said sharply. "Not when they tell you exactly what time she's dropped off, what she ate for lunch, what color shoes she was wearing." The silence was deafening. James understood now. This wasn't about money. It wasn't about politics. This was personal. This was revenge. "Who are they?" James asked. William shook his head. "I don't know, but I think they're connected to something bigger. Something that goes back decades." "To your mother?" William looked away. "Maybe." James felt the envelope in his pocket again. Heavier now. "Is that what's in the letter you gave me?" William nodded slowly. "If something happens to me, you'll need to know everything. You'll need to protect her the way I can't." "Nothing is going to happen to you." William smiled sadly. "You sound so sure." And then, from somewhere deep in the palace, an alarm began to sound. The alarm cut through the palace like a scream. James's radio exploded with voices, shouting commands, chaos. "Breach in the south wing. Repeat, breach in the south wing." William's face went white. "The children." He ran. James ran after him. Their footsteps echoed through the marble halls. Guards appeared from every direction. Weapons drawn. Radios crackling. "Where are they?" William shouted. A guard responded breathlessly. "Secure, sir. The Duchess has them in the safe room." William didn't stop running until he reached the reinforced door. He punched in the code with shaking hands. The door clicked open. Inside, Kate sat on the floor with George, Charlotte, and Louis. Her arms were wrapped around them. Her face was calm, but her eyes told a different story. She was terrified. "We're okay," she said quietly. "We're okay." William dropped to his knees beside them. He pulled them all close. His hands gripped them like he'd never let go. James stood in the doorway. Behind him, security flooded the corridor. The head of security approached, his face grim. "What happened?" James asked. "Someone bypassed the exterior cameras, cut the feeds, got as far as the east corridor before motion sensors caught them." "Did you catch them?" The head of security shook his head. "Gone, but they left something." He handed James a phone. The screen was cracked, but it still worked. A video was paused on the display. James pressed play. The footage showed Kate walking through the palace gardens alone. Just hours earlier, the camera had been handheld. Close, too close. Someone had been following her. Inside the palace, and no one had noticed. The video ended with a message typed across the screen: "Next time we won't leave." James felt sick. William emerged from the safe room. His face was stone. Cold. Determined. "Get him out," he said quietly, "sir." The head of security asked. "I want Kate," and the children moved. "Tonight. Somewhere secure. Somewhere no one knows about. We can increase security here." "No." William's voice was sharp. Final. "They've already proven they can get in. I'm not risking it." Kate appeared behind him. "William, we can't just leave." "Yes, we can. It's not safe." She looked at him. Really looked at him. "How long have you been carrying this alone?" William didn't answer. Kate turned to James. "Tell me the truth. What's happening?" James glanced at William. The prince gave a slight nod. "Someone has been threatening your family for months," James said carefully. "The letters. The photos. Tonight's breach. It's all connected." Kate's hand went to her mouth. "Why didn't you tell me?" "To protect you," William said. "By lying. By keeping you safe." The room fell silent. Louis began to cry softly. Charlotte hugged him close. Kate closed her eyes. When she opened them again, they were filled with something James hadn't seen before. Not fear. Not anger. Resolve. "If we run," she said quietly, "they win. If we stay, they might what?" Kate interrupted. "Kill us? They've had months. If they wanted us dead, we'd be dead." William stared at her. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying this isn't about murder. It's about control. About fear. And I won't give them that." James watched her carefully. She was right. The pattern didn't fit a typical assassination plot. The threats were calculated. Psychological. Whoever this was, they wanted William broken. Not dead. "We need answers," Kate said firmly. "We need to know who they are and what they want." "We've tried," William said. "There's no trail. Then we make them show themselves." The head of security stepped forward. "Your Highness, that's dangerous," Kate finished. "I know. But so is hiding. So is living in fear." She looked at William. Her hand found his. "We do this together. Like we always have." William's eyes filled with something James had never seen before. Not fear, not desperation. Hope. "All right," William said slowly. "But we do it my way. Controlled. Calculated." Kate nodded. James felt the envelope in his pocket one more time. He still hadn't opened it. But maybe he wouldn't need to. Maybe they'd find another way. The head of security cleared his throat. "If we're setting a trap, we need bait." Everyone turned to look at him. "The gala," he said. "Next week. Public event. High profile. If they're watching, they'll know." William's jaw tightened. "You want to use Kate as bait?" "I want to use all of you," the head of security corrected. "But in a controlled environment, heavy security. Eyes everywhere, and if they take it," James asked. The head of security looked at him. Then we'll be ready. Kate squeezed William's hand. We can do this. William looked at his children, at his wife, at the life he'd built, and then he looked at James. If anything goes wrong, William said quietly, you remember what I told you? James nodded. He would protect her. No matter what, even if it cost him everything. The week before the gala felt like a lifetime. Every minute stretched. Every shadow looked suspicious. Every sound made James reach for his weapon. Security tripled. Routes changed daily. Nothing was routine anymore. Kate moved through it all with quiet grace. She smiled for the cameras, waved at crowds, played with the children. But James saw the truth. She barely slept. Her hands shook when she thought no one was watching. William was worse. He'd lost weight. His eyes had dark circles. He checked his phone constantly, waiting for the next message. It came for days before the gala, an email. Sent to William's private account, one that only a handful of people knew existed. The subject line read, "We accept your invitation." Inside was a single image, a photo of the gala venue, empty, dark, with a red X marked over the stage where William and Kate would stand. No words, no demands. Just that image. William showed it to James in his office. His hands trembled as he held the phone. They know, William said quietly. They know it's a trap. They're coming anyway, James replied. Why? James had been thinking about that. Because they want to prove they can. Because this isn't about hiding anymore. It's about sending a message. What message? That you're powerless. William set the phone down. He leaned against his desk, his head in his hands. Maybe I am. Kate's voice came from the doorway. She stepped inside, closing the door behind her. You're not. She walked over to William, took his face in her hands. We've been through worse than this, have we? Yes. We've been through press scandals, death threats, public scrutiny, people trying to tear us apart since the day we met, and we're still here. William closed his eyes. This is different. I know, but we're still here. Together. She kissed his forehead gently. Then she turned to James. What do you need from us? She asked. James respected her in that moment more than he ever had. She wasn't pretending to be brave. She was choosing to be. I need you to trust me, James said. At the gala, stay close. If I tell you to move, you move. If I tell you to run, you run. No questions. Kate nodded. And if they make contact, let them. That's what we want. We need them to reveal themselves. And if it goes wrong? James looked at William. The prince was watching him carefully. Then I keep my promise, James said. The days that followed were a blur. Rehearsals, security briefings, plans and backup plans and contingencies. James memorized every exit, every sightline, every possible threat. The night before the gala, he couldn't sleep. He sat in his apartment, staring at the envelope William had given him. The red wax seal was still intact. He shouldn't open it. He'd given his word, but something gnawed at him. A feeling, an instinct. He broke the seal. Inside was a single sheet of paper, handwritten, William's script. James, if you're reading this, I'm either gone or incapacitated. What I'm about to tell you cannot be repeated. The threats against my family are not random. They stem from a decision I made 3 years ago. I discovered documents related to my mother's death. Evidence that suggested her accident was not thoroughly investigated. When I tried to pursue it privately, I was warned to stop. I didn't. I hired a private investigator. 2 weeks later, he disappeared. That's when the threats began. They want me to believe that digging into the past put my family at risk. They want me silent. The man behind this goes by the name Marcus Holt. Former intelligence. Now a fixer for people with power and secrets. He has resources, connections, and he will not stop. If something happens to me, Kate will need protection. But more than that, she'll need the truth. There is a safety deposit box at Berkeley's bank, Knightsbridge. Box 4517. The key is hidden in my desk. False bottom, left drawer. Inside the box is everything. Photos, names, recordings, evidence of what really happened to my mother, and evidence of who is trying to silence me now. Give it to Kate. Let her decide what to do with it. Protect her, James. Not just from them, but from the truth. If she can't handle it, trust your judgment. You're a good man. A better man than I've been. William. James read it 3 times. His hands were shaking. This wasn't just about protection. This was about a cover-up. About secrets that people had killed to keep buried. And tomorrow, they were walking into a room full of them. James folded the letter carefully. He put it in his jacket pocket. Right over his heart, he wouldn't fail. He couldn't. The next evening, the gala began. The venue was stunning. Crystal chandeliers. Golden light. Hundreds of guests in formal attire. Kate looked radiant in a midnight blue gown. William stood beside her in a tailored tuxedo. They smiled. They posed for photos. They played their parts perfectly. But James saw the truth. William's eyes scanned the crowd constantly. Kate's smile never reached her eyes. They were terrified. James stood near the stage, his hand near his weapon. The other guards were positioned throughout the room. Everything was in place, and then at exactly 9 o'clock, the lights went out. Screams filled the darkness. James moved instantly. He reached for Kate, pulling her close. William was right beside him. Stay with me, James commanded. The lights flickered back on. The crowd was panicked but unharmed, and standing on the stage, where no one had been moments before, was a man in a dark suit. Marcus Holt. He smiled. And James knew that everything was about to change. Marcus Holt stood alone on the stage, calm, confident, like he owned the room. He was mid-50s, gray hair, sharp features. His suit was expensive. His smile was cold. Guards rushed forward, weapons drawn. But Holt raised his hand slowly, almost mockingly. Gentlemen, please, he said. His voice carried across the silent room. Let's be civilized. The head of security stepped forward. You're under arrest, Holt laughed. On what charge? Walking onto a stage? Please. William stepped forward, but James held him back. Don't, James whispered. But William pulled free. He walked toward the stage. Kate tried to stop him, but he shook his head. You got what you wanted? William called out. I stayed quiet. I signed your papers. Why are you here? Holt tilted his head. Because you broke our agreement, Your Highness. I've done everything you asked. No, Holt's smile faded. You hired another investigator. Last month, a woman named Sarah Chen. Very thorough. Very persistent. William's face went pale. Did you think I wouldn't find out? Holt continued. Did you think you could dig into the past without consequences? What did you do to her? William's voice shook. Nothing yet. She's safe. For now. But that depends entirely on what happens next. Kate moved beside William. She took his hand. What do you want? Holt looked at her for a long moment. You're brave. I respect that. But bravery won't save you. James's hand went to his weapon. But something stopped him. Instinct. Training. This was too easy. Too exposed. Holt was a distraction. James scanned the room. The crowd was frozen. The guards were focused on the stage. Everyone's attention was in one direction, and that's when he saw it. A man near the side exit. Dressed as staff, his hand inside his jacket, moving toward the back where the family security corridor was located. West exit, James said into his radio. Possible threat. But before anyone could respond, Holt spoke again. The thing about secrets, Your Highness, is that they don't stay buried. Your mother knew that. She learned the hard way. William lunged forward. Guards grabbed him. Kate gasped. Don't you dare, William shouted. Don't you dare talk about her. Why not? She made the same mistake you're making. She thought the truth mattered more than safety. She thought she could expose corruption without consequences. The room was dead silent. She was wrong, Holt said quietly. And so are you. James moved. He pushed through the crowd toward the west exit. The man in staff clothing was gone. James ran into the corridor, empty. He checked the security room access. The door was open. It shouldn't be. He stepped inside. The monitors showed static. Someone had disabled them. We have a problem, James said into his radio. Cameras are down. Repeat, cameras are down. Back in the ballroom, William had broken free. He stood at the base of the stage. You killed her, he said. You and whoever you work for. You killed my mother and made it look like an accident. Holt didn't deny it. He just stared down at William with something like pity. Your mother was brilliant, Holt said. Compassionate, brave, but she didn't understand how the world works. She thought exposing one man's corruption would change things. She didn't realize he had protection. Friends in very high places. Who? William demanded. Who are you protecting? Holt shook his head. That's not how this works. You drop this investigation. You forget everything you've learned. You live your life, raise your children, and stay quiet. And if I don't? Holt's expression darkened. Then I stopped being patient. Kate stepped forward. Her voice was steady. Clear, you're not going to hurt us. No. Holt raised an eyebrow. No, because if you wanted us dead, we'd be dead already. You need us alive. You need us quiet. But that only works if we're afraid. Holt studied her carefully. Are you not afraid? Terrified, Kate admitted. But I'm also tired. Tired of running. Tired of lies. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to leave. And we're going to continue investigating. And when we find the truth, we're going to expose it. That's a bold threat. It's not a threat. It's a promise. The tension was suffocating. James returned to the ballroom. He couldn't find the man. Whoever it was, they were gone. But then he saw something that made his blood run cold. A small device under the stage. Blinking red, a bomb. James ran. He vaulted onto the stage and grabbed Holt by the collar. Where is it? Where's the trigger? Holt smiled. There is no trigger. It's on a timer. Evacuate, James shouted into his radio. Bomb on sight. Evacuate now. Chaos erupted. Guards moved quickly. The crowd panicked, screaming, pushing, running for exits. James jumped off the stage and grabbed Kate and William. Move, now. They ran. The three of them, surrounded by guards, pushing through the crowd. Behind them, more guards stayed to clear the room. They made it outside. Into the cold night air. Sirens wailed in the distance, and then nothing. No explosion. No fire. James's radio crackled. Device is a fake. Repeat, device is a fake. No explosives. William turned to James. His face was a mixture of rage and confusion. It was a distraction. For what? Kate asked. James felt his stomach drop. The children. They ran to the car. The driver sped through London streets, lights flashing. William called the palace. His hands shook as he held the phone. Answer, he whispered. Please answer. The line connected. A guard's voice came through. Your Highness, everything is secure. The children are safe. William exhaled. He nearly collapsed. Kate held him, but James wasn't convinced. Something was wrong. Something didn't add up. They reached the palace. Ran inside. The safe room door was open. The children were there, playing safe. William dropped to his knees and pulled them close. Kate joined him. They held their children like they'd never let go. James stood in the doorway, watching. Relief flooded through him, but then he noticed something. On the table, a small envelope. Red wax-sealed dot, just like the one William had given him. James picked it up. His name was written across the front. He opened it. Inside was a single sentence. The real game starts now. And beneath it, a photo. of Sarah Chen, the investigator, alive, but tied to a chair. Her eyes wide with fear, James looked at William. The prince was still holding his children, still crying with relief. He didn't see the new photo. He didn't know, but James did. And he knew exactly what it meant. Holt wasn't done. He was just getting started. James folded the photo carefully and slipped it into his pocket. He couldn't show William. It's not yet. Not while he was holding his children. Not while he finally felt safe. But Sarah Chen didn't have that luxury. She was out there, somewhere alone, and the clock was ticking. Later that night, after the children were asleep, James found William in his study. The prince sat in darkness, staring at nothing. "She's alive," James said quietly. William looked up. "Who?" James handed him the photo. William's face crumbled when he saw it. "This was left in the safe room," James explained. "While we were at the gala, while the children were there." William stood abruptly. The chair fell backward. "They were in the room with my children. The guard on duty didn't see anyone. The cameras show nothing, but someone got inside." William pressed his hands against the desk. His knuckles went white. "We can't keep doing this. We can't keep putting them at risk." "Then we end it," James said. "We find Holt. We find Sarah. We get the evidence, and we expose everything. They'll kill us. Maybe, but they'll kill Sarah first if we do nothing." William looked at the photo again. Sarah's terrified eyes staring back at him. "She didn't deserve this. I hired her. I put her in danger. You tried to find the truth. Look what it cost." Kate appeared in the doorway. She was wearing a robe, her hair down. She looked exhausted. "I heard shouting." William tried to hide the photo, but Kate crossed the room and took it from his hands. Her face went pale. "When did this arrive?" she asked. "Tonight," James said. Kate looked at William. Then at James. "We're going to save her." "Kate, no," she interrupted. "No more hiding. No more secrets. We're going to save her, and then we're going to finish this." William shook his head. "It's too dangerous. It's already dangerous," Kate shot back. "They were in our children's room, William. They could have done anything. And they didn't, because they still need us. Which means we have leverage." James felt a surge of respect. She was right. Holt was playing a long game. He wanted William silent, not dead. "What's your plan?" James asked. Kate turned to him. "The safety deposit box. The one mentioned in your letter." James tensed. "How did you?" "William tells me everything, eventually." She looked at her husband. "I read the letter while you were checking on the children." William didn't look surprised, just tired. "The evidence is in that box," Kate continued. "Names, proof, everything we need. We get it. We copy it. We send it to every news organization in the world. We make it impossible to cover up." "And Sarah?" William asked. "We trade," Kate said. "The evidence for her life? They'll never agree to that," James said. "Once the information is out, they lose control." "Then we don't tell them it's already out," Kate replied. "We make them think they still have time. We negotiate. And when Sarah is safe, we release everything." It was risky, reckless even, but it was the only play they had. "I'll go to the bank first thing tomorrow," James said. "Get the evidence." "We'll go together," William said firmly. "All three of us." They retrieved the evidence the next morning. The safety deposit box was exactly where William said it would be. Inside were files, photos, audio recordings. Years of investigation condensed into a single metal box. James looked through it in the car. His hand shook as he read the documents. Names of officials, dates, payments, conversations. Everything pointed to a coordinated cover-up. Diana's death hadn't been just an accident. It had been allowed to happen, enabled, protected. And the man at the center of it all was a government minister, someone with power, someone untouchable. Until now, they made copies. Digital and physical. They sent encrypted files to secure servers. They prepared for every contingency. Then William called a number he'd found in Sarah's files. A number connected to Holt. The phone rang twice before someone answered. "I was wondering when you'd call," Holt's voice came through. "I want Sarah released," William said. "Unharmed." "In exchange for what?" "The evidence. All of it. You leave us alone, and the past stays buried." There was a long pause. "How do I know you'll keep your word?" "Because I have children," William said quietly. "Because I want them to have a future. Because I'm tired of fighting." Another pause. Then, "Tomorrow, noon, Richmond Park. Come alone. Bring the evidence. I want to see Sarah first. You'll see her when I have what I want." The line went dead. Kate looked at William. "He's not going to let her go." "I know." "Then why agree?" "Because we need him to show up," William said. "We need him exposed." James understood. This wasn't about a trade. This was about getting Holt on record. On camera, confessing the next day, James wore a wire. So did William. They positioned unmarked officers around the park, cameras hidden in trees, audio equipment disguised as park benches. At noon, Holt appeared. He walked alone across the grass, calm, confident. William stood waiting. James was 30 feet away, pretending to be a jogger. "Where's Sarah?" William demanded. Holt smiled. "First, the evidence." William held up a USB drive. "It's all here. Every file. Every recording." Holt reached for it, but William pulled back. "Sarah first," Holt sighed. He pulled out a phone and made a call. "Bring her." Minutes later, a van appeared. Sarah stumbled out. She was bruised but alive. She ran toward William. "Go," William told her. "Run." She hesitated, then ran. James intercepted her, guiding her to safety. William held out the USB drive. Holt took it. He examined it carefully. "Smart man," Holt said. "You made the right choice." "Did I? Or did I just condemn myself to a life of silence?" Holt pocketed the drive. "You'll live. Your family will live. That's more than most get. And the truth." William asked, "What about that?" "The truth is whatever people in power say it is." William smiled then, sad, bitter. "You're wrong." Holt frowned. "Excuse me?" "The truth isn't on that drive," William said. "That's blank. The real evidence was released an hour ago. Every major news outlet, every journalist, every government watchdog. It's already out there." Holt's face went white. He pulled out his phone, started scrolling. His hands shook. "You're lying. Check." Holt did. And James saw the moment he realized. The moment he understood it was over. Holt looked up. Rage filled his eyes. He reached for something inside his jacket. Gun. James shouted. Everything happened at once. Officers emerged from hiding, weapons drawn. Holt froze. He dropped the gun, raised his hands. He was arrested on the spot, led away in handcuffs. William stood alone in the park, watching. Silent Kate appeared beside him. She'd been waiting in a car nearby. She took his hand. "It's over," she said softly. William nodded, but he didn't smile. He just looked tired. In the weeks that followed, the scandal exploded. Names were revealed. Officials resigned. Investigations opened. The world finally knew the truth about Diana, about the cover-up, about decades of lies. William gave one statement to the press. "My mother deserved justice. Now she has it." He didn't give interviews. Didn't seek attention. He just went home to his family. James remained on detail for 6 more months, until William called him into his office one afternoon. "I'm reassigning you," William said. James felt his chest tighten. "Sir." "Not as punishment," William clarified. "As gratitude? You've done enough. You've earned a life of your own." "This is my life," William smiled. "No, your life is waiting. Go find it," James wanted to argue. But he saw the truth in William's eyes. The prince was right. The danger was over. The threats had ended. William and Kate could finally breathe. They didn't need a guard anymore. They needed to be a family. James shook William's hand, then Kate's. He hugged them both. He said goodbye to the children, and then he walked out of Kensington Palace for the last time. As he drove away, he looked back once. William and Kate stood in the window, William's arm around her shoulders, her head against his chest. They were safe. They were together, and James had kept his promise. He had protected her, protected them all, not with guns or violence, but with courage, with loyalty, with truth. And that, James realized, was worth everything. He drove into the sunset, knowing that some stories don't have perfect endings, but they have true ones. And sometimes, that's enough.